Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. Happy weekend. Thank you for finding time and listening to this webinar. My name is Alia from Megajati Academy and I will be a moderator for today's webinar session. Today, we are presenting Report Writing Guide for PAE application, category Civil by Engineer Imran bin Ismail. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. Please mute your microphone during the presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box and speaker will read them during the Q&A session. For your information, after the event, we will send you all the relevant email, including a link to download today's slide presentation. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our speaker to start the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Okay, boleh dengar ya semua ya?
Boleh.
Okay, insyaAllah. Okay, we're going to have a very interesting topics today. I'm going to share with all of you your route to PAE, to professional engineer certifications, in which will be specifically mentioned about the PAE, professional assessment evaluation. Yeah, this is one of the prerequisite before you've been endorsed as a or accepted as a professional engineer. Okay, before we start, it's good to introduce myself. Let me check here. Okay, my full name is Imran Ismail. I believe I am much older than all of you here, young engineers. Okay, I have about 30 years experience, especially in property investment, asset or real estate industry. I've been working with previously with GLCs like Samdabi Property, Golden Hope Plantations, TH Properties, etc. Okay, I am also active in NGO. I am one of the ESCO members for Persatuan Alumni University Texas. We are very active in promoting or giving motivational talks to students, to university students worldwide. And hopefully that will nurture our young generations to be better persons, regardless of their background, and so on and so forth. Currently, I am the managing director for a consulting firm called EIG Pure Solutions. We are very much active and involved in giving consultancy on environmental, social, and governance, ESG, especially in property development as well as real estate industry. Okay, that's enough for my background. Now, we go to the topic that we're going to share today. You can see my slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So report writing guide for PAE applications. Okay. This is very important. As I mentioned to you, it is one of the prerequisites for you to be endorsed as a professional engineer. Okay. In this session, I'm going to basically share the agenda for the sessions, of course, the introductions for this, what we meant by PAE. And then after that, we followed by application and general requirements. for the PAE, how we're going to sit there for the PAE, what are the processes. And then we'll discuss about the report writing. This is one of the, this is the main gist of this presentation or this session. Yeah, and I believe all of you are very keen to listen to these topics. Report writing, we have two key points here: training and career experience report. How are we going to write down the report? What are those components that need to be included? And then the second part of the report writing is basically a technical report. Yeah, which will lead, or this is as a result of your career experience. We're going to choose one of the project that you have handled before. And then number 4, we're going to touch also on essay writings. Yeah. Then followed by the interview. These are the processes that you have to adhere prior to endorsement as professional engineer. Then finally, last but not least, we're going to look at the conclusion. Okay. Okay, why be a professional engineer? Yeah, why everybody who has basically undergoes or 4 years proper training or academic period, need to pursue as a professional engineer? Yeah, the answer is very obvious. Yeah, because number 1 is a regulatory requirement for you to be at least a graduate engineer if you want to basically to be employed or work for somebody. Yeah. So then it is stated in the Engineers Act 1967. Later we look at what's the Engineers Act say about this registration as a professional engineer or as a graduate engineer, or eventually as a professional engineer with a practicing certificate. And then the career. Yeah, this is one of the reasons. Perhaps some of you, your employer insists you to be a registered professional engineer. Because why? Because there is a policy. For instance, if it is a construction company class A, you must have, or CIDB class 7, PKK class A, you must have a registered professional engineer in your organization. Yeah, it is a compulsory. Yeah, okay. Company need it. Okay, then perhaps promotion. Yeah, your chances for to be promoted into higher position will be there. Yeah, if you are a professional engineer. Yeah, because of course comparison will be made among your peers and so on and so forth. This part and parcel of competition in any organization. Yeah, those that have qualification, have good academic background, those who have good experience, that will have higher chances to be promoted into a higher position. Yeah, so it'll make a lot of difference if you are registered professional engineer or you are just graduate engineer. Yeah, beside the qualification itself, the endorsement in terms of the level of thinking as well. Yeah, there is a difference. Yeah, professional engineer is expected to be very structured in their thinking. If they are to solve certain problem, they have to follow step-by-step processes. In which that will lead to good results. Okay. Then recognition and ego. Yeah, this is very true. Maybe you'll not realize it now, especially for those who just entering the market or just started working. But after 2 or 3 years, you will start to realize that you need that recognition as a professional engineer. Yeah. So a lot of things why one want to pursue the PE title. Yeah. Beside having IR title in front of their names or professional engineer statement at the back of at the end of their names. Okay. For the introduction, professional engineer is a person registered under Section 10, bracket 2 of the Section of Engineers Act. Let me reduce this thing. Okay. Registration of Engineers Act 1967, revised 2015. Okay, a professional engineer who is registered with the board may, okay, look at number 1, take up employment which requires him to carry out or perform professional engineering services. Okay, this is a professional engineer, you know, there's no doubt that you can work and exercise your profession if you are registered professional engineer. If you are just graduate engineer, yes, you still can work, but the exposure as well as your movement, your activities will be limited to only as a graduate engineer. And to say that you are not able to sign certain documents and so on and so forth. And then as a professional engineer also, you will be entitled to describe yourself or hold himself out under any name, style, or title. I did mention this just now, and this will carry a lot of weight in terms of your credentials, your resume or your CV eventually. Yeah. So then number 3, use or display any sign board or any sign board, card, or other device representing or implying that you are a professional engineer. Yeah, your business card. You can just put your title there. Yeah, and then use the stamp as may be determined by the board. Yeah, you can use a professional engineer stamp, a PE. Yeah, they have a round circle there. Yeah, and of course, there is a difference between professional engineer and professional engineer with certification, with practicing certificate or certification. Okay, Engineers Act 1967, Registration of Engineers Act, REA, to regulate. The purpose why we have this act is basically to regulate engineering practice in Malaysia by administering and enforcing the Engineering Act and its provision to protect public interest. Bear in mind, that is basically to protect public interest because you are responsible in terms of designing, you know, supervising certain engineering project. So the main focus is basically is to protect the public. That's why we need one or such regulation, you know, endorsed by the government, endorsed by the cabinet, to practice, to exercise this kind of activities. I think you all heard there are a lot of building collapse, bridge collapse, and then for Malaysia, the classic example is basically the Highland Tower collapse. If we study the reason, there are so many reasons, but one of them is that the designing of the foundation of this Highland Tower wasn't done by a proper professional engineer. Yeah, you learn, you can basically check in the internet. You browse the court cases of this Island Tower. You can look at these the narrative, the reason, the reason why it's collapsed. Okay. So it's stated also, here, only graduate engineers or professional engineers registered with the board are allowed to practice engineering in Malaysia. You see, if you do not register as a graduate engineer, it is illegal for you to practice, basically, or even to work. You have to register as at least as a graduate engineer. When 6 months of your practice, we need to say that within 6 months, you must register with the board of engineers as a graduate engineer, and eventually register as a professional engineer and professional engineer with practicing certificate. Okay, application and general requirement. This basically the the prerequisites for your prior to your sitting for PAE examination, professional assessment examination. Okay. Okay. Before that, we talk about we look at the route to be a professional engineer. Yeah. Of course, number 1, academic qualification. it must be you must have an engineering degree accredited by, for the case of Malaysia, by MQA. And then for those undergraduate engineering degree, it must be accredited. You must have at least accredited master degree. Okay, from there, you go to step 2, graduate registration. This is what we just now mentioned, BM graduate engineer. Yeah. Okay, you must register as a BM graduate engineer before you apply for professional engineer status, or before you seek for PAE. Yeah, you must register, because why? One of the requisites is that you must have at least 3 years minimum experience as a graduate engineer, yeah, before applying for professional assessment evaluation. Yeah. This is stated in the guidelines. Yeah. Okay, just to inform you all, in terms of documentations, in terms of the proper forms, and so on and so forth, you can always access to Board of Engineers website, yeah, BM website, yeah, because there is certain amendment, latest amendment, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. Step 2, graduate registration. This mentioned already. That's step 3, engineering training. As I mentioned, must have a 3 years working experience, 1 year in Malaysia. So for those of you who just graduated, please quickly register with the Board of Engineers as a graduate engineer. Those who just graduated from any institution or any university. You may not, you might think that it is not important now, but you see, it is important after several years. Then you realize that it is important for you to be registered as a graduate engineer as well as a professional engineer. Okay. So then step 4, professional tier 1 exam. You have the route 1, BM. This is how you can basically become a professional engineer. There are 3 routes basically, through BM, professional assessment, BM professional assessment examination, PAE, in which we're going to discuss at length today. Yeah. And then once you pass the PAE, they or board will issue you PAE certificate, PAE pass certificate. With this certificate, you can apply for professional engineer certification, PE. Okay, route 2, IEM professional interview exam. This through IEM, yeah. And bear in mind, there are basically in Malaysia, yeah, 2 organization has been approved to carry out with the PAE evaluation. Yeah. Number 1 is IEM, and then number 2 is MySet, Malaysia Society for Engineering and Technology. It's not here, it's not stated here, but later on in the example part, I will show you the format done by Malaysia Society of, for Engineering and Technology. Okay. Okay, for route 2, as I mentioned, you have to attend the interview by IEM professional interview exam, and then you become IEM corporate members. And as a IEM corporate members, you can apply for tier 1 or as a professional engineer. And then route 3, this is for those who has overseas certification as a professional engineer. So you have 2 professional exam with overseas regulatory bodies, and then professional award for overseas regulatory bodies, and then exam of code or professional conduct, and then you can apply the professional engineer status from the board of engineers. But from overseas body, yeah, those there are countries that acceptable under Washington code, which is acceptable to be accepted for application for professional engineer tier 1. Yeah? Later we'll show that. And then once we got that, you have to maintain about 25 hours, 25 credit hours. as a CPD, continuous professional development. Yeah. This figure 25, this has been revised. At least during the duration of 3 years, you must have about 50 credit hour, 50 CPD, CPD hours. It is basically you can bring forward your CPD. Yeah. Okay. With the status of with the certification as a professional engineer, you can basically sit for professional competency exam, PCE. Yeah. This basically will qualify you to be professional engineer with practicing certificate. Yeah. Okay, I just like to qualify my statement just now. In order to be maintained as professional engineer, yes, you have to have at least 25 CPD hours a year. But for you to qualify or to continue and maintain as professional engineer with practicing certificate, you must have at least 50 hours. So the number of hours is basically double. Yeah. Okay, this is under tier 2, professional tier 2 registration. Yeah. So basically your eventual aim, destination is basically to be a professional engineer with practicing certificate, where you can have your own consultancy firm, you can practice, in which you can make basically profit from this company. Yeah. In the process of serving the people. Yeah, basically. Okay. This is basically the summary as I just mentioned just now. Route 1, professional assessment examination, and then route 2, to be a professional engineer from overseas regulatory body, and then route 3, corporate member of IEM. Yeah. Okay, minimum career experience, I did mention just now, 3 years from date of registration as graduate engineer. The guidelines, I will show you the guidelines later on. Yeah? And then online submission of application form and endorsed by PE, show BM guidelines. Okay, nowadays you can browse the Board of Engineers website. You can apply through their website online. Yeah? So basically online, because your name, basically if you are registered as a graduate engineer, your name is there. You have already registered there. Then basically you just fill in the form using the templates that they will show you. If you are not registered with the Board of Engineers as a graduate engineer, then of course you are not qualified to apply for PAE, Professional Assessment Examination, and because this is the prerequisite as I mentioned. Yeah. And then payment of ringgit Malaysia 100 for processing fee, and 500 ringgit for PAE examination registration. Yeah. Okay. This need to be submitted together when you fill in the online form. Yeah. So that you just follow the instruction there. Yeah. It's very clear instruction. Yeah. Okay. Before we go to report writing, some of you may wonder how long it takes for you to prepare all this documentation, and how long the whole process will take place. Okay, to be frank with you, Board of Engineers Malaysia, they have set, or they have their KPI. You know, their KPI is basically to get your endorsement, your certification as a professional engineer from your online registration within the period of 6 months. Within the period of 6 months. Okay, that is considered very fast. But what is more important than that is basically you have to familiarize yourself on how to fill in the form correctly, as well as to provide the prerequisite documents or to do all this documentation in a proper manner, so that whoever entrusted to assess or to evaluate your application, will have a very smooth life. Yeah. So that's why the format and so on and so forth is very important for you to do, and spend some time before you look at the requirements in the website before you submit your application. Yeah? Because no point submitting improper application and yet being rejected. Yeah? And again, Board of Engineers Malaysia is very thorough in terms of checking your background, because they have assessors or examiners who is very seasoned in terms of assessing the application. In terms of integrity wise, they're very transparent. Everything is done in a very structured manner. Yeah. Okay, report writing, training, and career experience. That's one part of the report writing, and then the second part is the technical report. Yeah. So far, is it okay? So far, is it clear? Am I make myself clear to all of you?
Yes, clear. Thank you.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, training and career experience. This basically one of the report. This, for information, need to be done in a booklet manner. We would prefer to have that because why? As I mentioned to you, there are two reports. One relating to your career experience, your work experience, starting from your registration date as a graduate engineer. Yeah. So that's why advisable for all of you to quickly register as a graduate engineer, because your calculation of your experience, your project experience, technical experience, and so on and so forth is calculated from that date. Yeah. So if you fail to register, say within 5 years, after 5 years only you realize that you need this PE, then it's considered as a bit late, you know. Of course, there's no such thing as too late, yeah? But consider is you are wasting 5 years of your time, yeah, because whatever experience before that will not be calculated. Yeah. Okay. Years in service, 2 years site experience administrations, 1 year design experience in Malaysia. Okay. What we meant here, basically, your experience must be 3 years altogether, minimum experience for you to apply for PAE, professional assessment examination, in which 1 year must be professional training. If you handle a project, you must be monitored by PE, endorsed a professional engineer, and then 2 years period must be your general working experience. So basically, it's like that because it's understood. If you work for consultancy firm, it's very clear. You'll involve in the design, in the site supervision, maybe less on the administration. But you work for, say, property development company. So it's very clear that your design experience will be limited, but you're going to have a lot of experience or exposure on site matters and also administration. Same goes to construction. Your experience in construction will be much more as compared to your experience in designing as well as what we call it, monitoring. Oh, sorry, designing and also administering the project. Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah, bear in mind, yeah, I like to put here years in service. Total is 3 years prior from the date of registration as a graduate engineer until you apply your PAE examination. You have 5 years is much better. 10 years is much better. I have experience assessing one candidate who has been working for about 18 years. 18 years. So meaning to say that if he graduated at the age of 20, say 25, yeah, you plus 18, so the age is already 40 over. And I have also experience basically evaluating or assessing or interviewing candidate at the age of 28 years old. Yeah, meaning to say that he graduated at the age of 24 years old. Yeah, some quite young, also 32 years old, and so on and so forth. Okay. Number two, I did mention just now. And then make sure all your record, your report, your courses attended, seminars, workshop is recorded properly, because that need to be included in your report. And then documents endorsed by PE. All the documents, the report must be endorsed by the PE. And then in fact, when you apply for the professional engineering or professional engineer certification, eventually your employer also need to endorse that you are actually trained under certain professional engineer within certain period of time. Yeah, that's the format. Later we run through. I show you the examples step by step. Okay. Table of contents show examples. This is a very important. We do not want you to send a loose report. It should be binded. And then with proper table of contents, introduction, and so on and so forth. We run through one by one later on. Yeah. This the brief guidelines for training and career experience report. Okay. This is what we need to do. Fill in form PAE, revision number 2, Registration of Engineers Act 1967. There is a form that you need to fill in. This form is available online. Of course, you have the option to do it manually, but it's better to have it online. And then application for professional assessment examination. This for PAE revision number 2. Fill in Lapiran PAE 1. There's the attachment. It is a table with 5 columns, A, B, C, D, E. Later we'll show you. Where A stated date of appointment with your current company or your previous company. You have to list down your employer, previous employer, and the current employer as well. The description of training experience, what kind of experience, the nature of job that you have basically undertaken. And then name of PE served. You are reporting to whose PE? Okay, that is compulsory, because you must be monitored and administered by professional engineer as well. And then column D, experience duration in months. Then you have to state that the total experience must not be less than 36 months. Why? We agreed just now. We mentioned that minimum experience after registration with as a graduate engineer is 3 years. Okay. Training and experience, career experience. D1, design office. This is very important. We want our engineer to be able to design at least, or to understand basic designing processes. So you have, say, entrance lab. If it is your project, you must show that how you design the slab. So there, definitely, if you are working with somebody, you must have a very minimum knowledge of engineering components. Slab, for instance, just crossing slab, simple slab. What type of grade or concrete grade required? So that is basically grade 20 or grade 30, so on and so forth. That's very minimum requirements. Design office. Then how are you going to design this slab? There must be steel bars. And then how you arrive at choosing certain steel bar, say R12 or R20 or Y10 or Y25, Y40, and so on and so forth. This must be design calculation showing that that type of structure would be able to undertake certain load. A car crossing the slab, or motorbikes, either the live load or dead load, and so on and so forth. That's a basic design experience. And you must have at least 12 months design experience. If you are working for consultancy firm, engineering consultancy firm, there's no issue for you to do that. Or to gain knowledge on designing. But if you're working for a property company or construction company, if you are a turnkey contractor, definitely you will be involved in designing certain structures or turnkey project and so on and so forth. But if there is no such designing experienced person in your organization, you can always look for others, yeah, outside the organization. For instance, if you're a contractor, then you have consultant. You can work together with consultant, you know, to endorse your designing works, yeah, for certain part. Because if you're talking about construction of this simple double-story link houses, so certain part designing structure you have to prepare because that become part of the these working drawings where it can be endorsed by the engineers. Through this process, you would be able to get that designing experience, although you are not working for a consulting firm per se. Yeah? Same goes to the if you are working for a property developer, for instance, you will be able to basically work together with your consulting engineers, to get some knowledge, to get the designing design knowledge, you know, on certain structures, civil works, for instance, road works, how to design the road work, the type of concrete used, then what are those specifications, and you have bill of quantities where you can always refer. You can have where basically have contract documents to know more on the building codes or specifications and so on and so forth. All this information is basically available regardless where you work, yeah? Regardless who is your company or organization and their nature of work. Yeah. Okay. And of course, I mean, if you work for financial institution or bank institution, yeah, maybe there is certain limitation. But again, if you work for bank, for instance, and the bank involved in, say, real estate industry, yeah, where they need to certify whether the particular projects in accordance or following the requirements of environmental, social, and governance, for instance. Yeah? So that will also expose you to certain engineering design projects, certification, dan sebagainya. Yeah? So meaning to say that in any industry you work, you have to show that you have that experience in designing certain structures or civil works. Yeah? And then the two site field, yeah, this your experience in the site, yeah? Use your supervision time span as a site engineer, for instance, monitoring the infrastructure works, bridge, or other geotechnical works, and so on and so forth. And then planning, management, this more on the administration part, yeah, how you conduct your tender exercise, for instance, how you basically conduct the site meeting, how you basically do your project closeout report. This is part of planning management. And in fact, like the feasibility study, before you embark into certain projects, there must be feasibility study done, which need to be endorsed either by senior management or need to be endorsed by the investment committee, for instance, or by, if you work for government sector, then need to be endorsed by pengarah JKR negeri, or head of economic planning, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. And then other engineering works, ni later will include as well, which is basically maybe not relevant to site field, but it is considered as engineering works. Contoh when come to flood, contoh Insya Alam kan, heavy flood last time, even in KL. So you will be appointed as one of the committee members, the focus group in tackling how to manage the flood issue, in which that will involve consultancy on engineering works and so on and so forth. Then the 5 postgraduate study research, if you are pursuing your education, you know, master of say master of geotech, and so on and so forth. That time span also will be considered in your calculation of this training and career experience. Okay, all this basically experience need to be endorsed by PE, same discipline, who has personal knowledge or applicants training or experience in the period mentioned.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for interrupt. Hello, sir.
Yeah, proceed, Muhammad.
Okay, my name is Muhammad Iqmal. Okay, I would like to ask for D5, is it compulsory or optional?
It is optional.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because your experience, your period, your
D5.
period, your career experience, it is combination of D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. Yeah. So you can have that combination, but for postgraduate study research, that is optional. That will be calculated in the total working experience.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, then okay, some of you, yeah.
I have one question. Okay, macam saya, when we work, I'm working for the client lah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in our organization, usually we will have multiple projects at one time. So so we don't really focus on one project throughout the period. So at the same time, maybe we do design work and also site work. I think during the same period of time. Maybe one project I'm doing at the design stage, another project I'm doing at the site stage. So how do I put my time and also month for this? Can I overlap or how?
Yeah. Okay. For example, design office. You can have say 3 design experience. 3 projects basically. You can combine those 3 projects. So katalah ada 3 project. Project A you construct bridge, project B you buat jalan, project C you buat building. All the 3 projects you involved in designing works. Okay, you can add up all these 3 projects. Then the period say katalah you ada about 36 months of design experience. That will be your calculation for the total design experience throughout your career. Okay, you get what I mean?
Okay. Yes, but the thing is, let's say during 1 year, at least let's say in the same year, I'm doing the design, I'm doing the site, and also I'm doing the planning, because our organization is a client base, so we have multiple projects running at the same time. In that 1 year, should I split into, let's say, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, or I can just take the full year as for design, field, and also planning?
Okay. Okay. Obviously, you cannot take the full year for all. You have to divide time span for each task. Yeah. If there is design work in 1 year, you spend say kata 3 bulan, then you just put it 3 months for that particular year. And then you add up next year how many months. Same goes to site, field, and so on and so forth. You have to be able to basically to divide time span for this particular works. Okay, Mio? Later we'll show you the example that will be clearer for all of you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We go to next slide. And then training and career experience, fill in form PAE 2, professional assessment examination declaration form. This is basically this form will state what type of drawings that you're using. If it is original drawings, you have to state the drawing numbers, the names of the drawings. If it is tracing, you are also required to put the tracing names, the type of the tracings, and so on and so forth. And this must be endorsed by professional engineer. By professional engineer. Later we'll show you the example. It's very clear. We run through the process first. Okay. Training and career experience report. Okay, this is basically what we need to put inside that. Yeah, to put inside that, because if you are basically interviewed by me, I will insist on this thing. Yeah, because this will show you what is important here, to show your professionalism, you know, to show to people the difference between professional engineer and unregistered engineer or unprofessional engineer. Yeah, those with certification and those without certification. Yeah? It's make a lot of difference. Those who has that certification, definitely you must have a certain level of thinking, a very structured level of thinking. You know, your approach before you commit on certain decision. There is processes need to be analyzed. Meaning to say that your thinking process is shown once you are endorsed as a professional engineer, as compared to those who haven't have not gone to this kind of processes. Okay, table of content. Inside the table of content must have introduction, your experience, yourself, your education background, and then summary of training and work experience. Summary, it's not the detailed one. And then time duration of work experience must state the duration. This is in the form of report. And then description of work experience, you describe work experience, and it must be segregated based on projects. If based on employer, normally what people do is based on employer. Because you work for certain employer, then you have the timeline from which date to which date. Yeah. Okay, in one employer, you have 3 projects, you need stated 3 projects. You have to explain what is your scope of works and so on and so forth. Description of work experience. And then design experience, you have to also explain your design experience. Yeah? Because some, their work stop until they hand it over the drawings to implementation team. Yeah, so regardless where you stop, you have to basically explain your design experience as well. Although it's not detailed, because design experience later on the design itself, the calculation itself will be explained in the technical report. And then experience as civil engineer, you have lesson learned throughout, say, 5 years. How you solve certain projects, how you solve certain problems, how you manage people, how you manage conflicts of interest, and so on and so forth. That's your experience as a civil engineer. Okay. Then in the report also, in this training and career experience report, you must state your competency training. You have attended workshop, for instance, either internal or external workshop, training, seminar. This, we call it competency training. Besides competency training, other people say it is on-the-job training. There is another sort of training. We call it leadership training. That's more on management training. But still okay, you can put that, because that is part and parcel of how you improve your professionalism. Because as I mentioned, PE is something with professionalism. How professional you are in dealing with the conflicts, in dealing with your works, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then recognition. Some of you, maybe you are given certain basically recognition by your company. This best employee award of the year, for instance, or other type of recognition. Maybe the other recognition, if you are consulting, say for instance, lawn bowl stadiums, you are recognized as the first lawn bowl purpose-built lawn bowl stadium in Malaysia, for instance, by Federation of Lawn Bowls, Asian Federation of Lawn Bowl Association, for instance. That is the one type of recognition that you can put also in your report. And then, of course, conclusion. Conclusion. And then certification on experience by PE. All your experience. What we expected from your report is endorsement by PE. I did mention just now certification of original drawings, documents, and certification of tracing, photo print, BM, form, PAE, and 02. Okay, engineer, one thing is that we are serving the community, you know. When we talk about serving the community, we must make everybody happy, although it's understood, human being is very difficult to satisfy human being. What's the point here is that we must have good rapport with whoever we deal with, or whoever we work with. So meaning to say that human touch, human relationship must be good as an engineer, because like tracing, like drawings, who knows, you might want to get them back from your former employer, for instance. That's why the rapport, the attitude, the manners is very important for engineers. Okay, number 2, or report number 2, the second part is basically technical report. Technical report is basically select one of your projects. In part A, where you mention about your experience, your training, and so on and so forth. So you state your projects. You have to state your project, and that project, you select one of them, and it should appear in your technical report here. You cannot select something which is not stated in your earlier report, part A report. It must be stated there. Select one of the project there. Table of content is a must. I insist the candidate to put the table of content, because with table of content, it make the life of your assessor or your examiners easy. If not, you know, it's very difficult for them. You will frustrate them, and that may end up your endorsement as a PAE as well as a professional engineer will be delayed. Explain the background of the project, problems encountered, problem solving, and lesson learned. This is we want to know the capability of your analyzing the projects, how you come up with the problem solving approach. And then inside the technical report also, you have to include the design calculation. I just give the example just now, very simple example. Entrance lab, you can have heavy, or you can have a delicate design calculation. The sample also is okay, because that will show your professionalism or your competency in terms of designing calculation or the work you have undertaken previously. And then you show also design calculation, because nowadays it's not like the old times, like my time 20 years, 30 years ago, where everything is done manually. Nowadays you have software and so on and so forth. So your manual calculation, design calculation, must also be supported by the calculation using computer software. The format that you have, the engineering software, and so on and so forth. You have to support that. Okay. And then specification, design code. In your report, your technical report, you must put the British standard or national standard, or ASTM for the case of US, USA, and so on and so forth. You must put that your specification, design code. And then bill of quantities. Maybe part of the bill of quantities, if you are basically involved in big bridging works, of course you have designed the foundation, you have the slab itself, abutment, and so on and so forth. Maybe you just show BQ for part of your structures, not all. You can put all, it's okay, but it's adequate to put part of the BQs for one of the structures. And then taking off how you calculate this BQ, how you arrive at the quantities. This need to also be included. And then finally, drawings. Drawings basically is structure drawings or civil drawing, infrastructure drawings, and architectural drawing as well, to be shown. And bear in mind that some of the candidates, they forgot to put their names in the drawings. It is a one way how to detect whether it is your work or not, by looking at who is the design, because normally for any drawing, the designer, the checker, and the approver will be there. Their names will be stated there. So if your name is not in the drawing, so how come you claim that it is your designing or your drawings? So that's why very important, the drawings, ensure your name is there. That show that it is your work. Okay.
Sorry, Encik Imran, I have one question. My name is Muzaki. For number 7 and number 8, is it compulsory or is it optional?
It's compulsory. It's compulsory. What I stated here is basically it's compulsory, because your documentation, you will be basically evaluated in terms of your documentation. Examiners need to send reports to the board of engineers. Once you have basically completed all the processes, the report basically will support or will reject your application, whether you're going to pass or you're going to fail the examination. So if the examiners having problem of reading your reports, or you do not follow the specification, what's the minimum requirement insisted for the report, then who's going to basically to approve your application? Right. Okay.
Mr. Imran, what about number 5? Is it compulsory? Because sometimes we use only the basic Excel lah. I mean, number 4,
Yes.
okay. But number 5, is it compulsory also? Software?
Design calculation is okay. Because why? Because impossible for you to just draw manually nowadays, unless you work for, say, if you work for maybe a non-engineering company, maybe you have to do it manually lah. But you work for consultancy firm, or you work for property development companies or construction company, definitely you're going to have this design calculation using any engineering software. So it is requirement for you to put there, because the reason why, satu, we want to show your professionalism. Number 2, we want to show that your design calculation is correct. Because design calculation, one is using machine, the other one is your own calculation, manually done. That's why we insist you to include this number 5 as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes maybe there is limitation for you, maybe the company do not have that, then you can always ask your basically your consulting firm, your professional engineers, your colleagues, and so on and so forth, for assistance, and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay. It is 12 o'clock now, so we're going to stop here. Later we have about 5 minutes break. We have 5 minutes break. Later we run through the interview. After that, we run through the interview process, and then we'll show you examples for this report, technical as well as working experience report. Okay, we stop here for 5 minutes. We continue at 12:05. Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. We continue with our session. Okay. This is basically the process. Number 4, interview. Okay, interview. As you all know, maybe some of you may not know that there are panel interviewer, 2 people, basically. Both are professional engineers. Sorry. Okay. Panel interview, 2 interviewers. Okay, explain background. You will requested to explain your background, career, education, etc. Member, what you have reported and submitted. So that's why your report, both of your report, report A and B, experience and also technical, you must have your copy. You know, don't come to the interview session without bringing anything. Even some of the candidates, they do not even bring their notebooks. Be reminded that engineers always prepared. Yeah, that's why professionalism is very important. We are human beings. We cannot remember everything. Yeah, so accept that reality. Bring your reports together during the interview session. Yeah, you might want to refer to that. Yeah, or maybe the interviewers will ask you to refer to certain page and so on and so forth. And then technical competency, you'll be assessed your technical competency, qualification on technical reports that you have submitted. Ideas expression, okay. It is expected for professional engineers to express their ideas well. Not only he should be able to talk, but also talk with the substance in this case. And then creativity, how creative they are. This will be the assessment. And then maturity. The interview session will last about 45 to 60 minutes. So if everything in order, basically, your report in order, your report A, report B in order, the documentation all in order, and then there is tendency also that for the interview session to take a shorter period. Yeah. Okay. Bear in mind that in this we want to gauge your professionalism, your level of thinking, the thinking process. Sometimes the question thrown to you is very simple. This is common sense. As an engineer, you should be able to answer this. I just quote one example is that, okay, you are handling the site works, you know. One day, the contractor deliver 10 trucks of acidic sands, and you are behind schedule, the project behind schedule. So definitely, acidic sand is not acceptable at the site for concrete. It's not acceptable. So what shall you do? That's the kind of things that require basic engineering or knowledge, civil engineering knowledge. The keyword is acidic sand there. Yeah. So you need to say you have 10 loads, or maybe the examiners will say that 50 loads, 50 trucks is huge amount of sand delivered at the site. Are you going to ask them to just bring back or what? Yeah. Because bear in mind, we are serving human beings. Yeah? Nobody wants the project to be delivered. Yet, you have to comply with certain requirement specifications. So that you're going to have a very sound engineering products at the end of the day. So that's require your creativity, how to solve that kind of problem. Okay. Okay, essay writing. Okay, we have 2 sessions there. Session A, and times given to you is basically 90 minutes for each session. Session A and section B. So meaning to say that we have 3 hours. You have to basically If you're working for people or you're working for your company, you have to take basically day off on that particular day for the PAE examination. Okay, session A, technical essay. Question will be based on understanding of given project, process flow, and problem solving. This basically technical essay will lead to what you have written basically in your projects. So basically, it's somewhat related. What you have set in your projects there, somehow related. Two questions given, you have to answer only one. Later I give the example. And then for session B, 90 minutes, code of professional conducts, code of ethics of engineering practices, roles of engineers in the society. Again, two questions will be given. You have to answer only one question. So total will be 3 hours. Okay, please. I need to remind you that ensure your handwriting is good and can be read well. Because why? I saw some of the candidates, I tell you the handwritings is very bad. So you cause frustration to the examiners. So if you cause frustration, then it's not good, right? Takes time to read through, and then the feedback will be might be negative. So please improve your handwritings. Some, of course, I know some they have a very good handwritings. I can give A scores for handwriting, but not the contents. Content definitely you will be evaluated as well, to show that you are professional enough in your approach, in your analysis of the from the subject matters. Okay. Okay. Sample question. This is for technical essay. Okay. You'll be given 2 questions normally, and this will be given to you 24 hours or 24 hours before the actual exam date. So we have to answer one question. Choose number 1, outline in detail the control process involved in design and construction of road or building or any engineering project. Flowchart may be used. You see, flowchart. First, design process. Number 2, the flowchart. You must show that. And then for each components of the identified steps in the design process, indicate the percentage input accorded by you. Because some of you might not be involved in all the projects. Maybe you're involved in the feasibility study, design, and tendering, but implementation will be done by somebody else. So you have to allocate the time spent for each stage that you spend there. Okay, then additionally identify the problem issues encountered on site from your design and discuss how this will solve and how this may be avoided in future. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, environmental safety and health are those important elements in ensuring sustainability of the projects to meet the completion period, a stable product quality and within budget cost. Please describe the level of compliance to ESH of any completed project within your supervision and share your experience. For both 1 and 2, you have to name the projects involved. We do not want you to just write something general. You have to name the projects, project A, project B, where's location, and so on and so forth. So we have to explain well there. This is a narrative. I understand that 1.5 hours, some might have difficulty in terms of gathering the ideas. But before the actual exam date, you can train yourself, come up with the outline, the kind of answer the expected, be structured in your write-up. Okay. In terms of the what we call it, the words, total number of words is range from 1,500 to 2,000, not more than 2,000. So you can expect if 1,500 is roughly about 4 pages. 4 pages. Okay. Okay. For code of conduct, this is basically this circular number 01 For registered person is skilled professional engineer stated there. This conduct a professional engineer, registered professional engineer, not to falsify qualification. You can actually browse through Board of Engineers website. You can have all these things. Registered professional engineer is to certify work only if he has control over supervision, etc. You do not have supervision, or you are not able to control the works, so then you cannot certify the work. Registered professional engineer not to accept benefit from more than one party, etc. Yeah. Okay. This is very simple. You work for your employer as a project engineer. Yeah. For instance, you work for SSP. You receive salary from SSP. For the project you are entrusted to manage, there is a contractor. You cannot receive money from contractor. Okay, some of you may say that, oh, I work overtime and so forth. If you work overtime, you must basically record that and make sure the claim is done by your company rather than you do it yourself. Yeah, to avoid any wrongdoings or misconception of your activity. Yeah? So that's what we meant here. Yeah? So not solicit or accept any consideration, financial or otherwise, directly or indirectly from outside. Okay, this all the code of professional practices. Okay. Essay writing sample question for code of professional conduct. Just now we're talking about technical. Now is the session B, code of professional conduct. Answer only one question. Okay. For your information, there are 8 questions, sample questions available. I will show you later, in which you will be given 2 questions. 2 questions only, and you need to choose, or you need to do one only. Okay, this is a sample question. If you were consulting engineer and were submitting turnkey tender on behalf on a turnkey contractor, would you consider conflict of interest between the role of consulting engineer and contractor and enlarge on the ethics of the subject? Okay, that's question 1. Question 2, professional engineer should be allowed to practice as consultants and as contractor at the same time. Do you agree with this statement? If so, give your reason objectively for subjecting it. If not, also give reason for appeasing it. Okay, there's no question number 2, there's no right or wrong answer for this case. You if you say that it is not ethical to work as a consultant and contractor at the same time, then you have to put the reason. And bear in mind that when you do this kind of essay writings, ensure that you have the introduction, points to support your arguments, and then finally the conclusion. That's the flow. That's how the professional engineer works. Yeah, I saw some of the candidates, the handwriting is bad, and then the contents of the essay is also bad. Kita pun tak tahu apa dia bercakap. Sometimes. Okay. Okay. Timeline for certification. Okay. Just now I mentioned about 6 months.
Imran, sorry, I have one question regarding the essay writing.
Yeah.
So essay writing meaning that it must in the form of essay, right? Or can we put in terms of point form, but in a structured manner, from problem statement to objective until to the value creation, something like that? Is it okay, or
Yeah.
it must be in essay format?
Okay, it is good to have in essay format, but I know some have limitation in term mengarang surat ni, mengarang essay ni. But you can put as well in the point forms format, but must be supported by essay. Yeah, you cannot just put a bullet points. You must explain that, isn't it? So explain that a little bit. Yeah, introduction and then points, and then you have the bullet points to support your arguments, and then your conclusion. Yeah. So just like you sit for examination in your in the universities, and so on and so forth. It depends. If it is a technical, then it's a point form. Yeah. But if it is a narrative in manner, you can have a mix, point and also narrative. So I advise you to put it in a mixed format rather than bullet points like that. We also want to look at how you comprehend your English, and so on and so forth.
Tuan, lagi satu question. Saya Shakti sini.
Ya, Syaki.
Okay, soalan dia, is it we have pages, how many pages we have to write, or how many words we have to put in for the essay?
Yeah, I did mention just now the total number of words around 1,500. Do not exceed 2,000 words. Yeah, if you take average 500 words per page, so you're gonna have about 3 pages, the most 4 pages. Okay.
Thank you.
Encik Imran, I have one more question. Can we include any kind of illustration or flowchart in this essay?
Yes, it is expected.
Okay.
Because we're talking about design processes, so it's good you have the flowchart, then you explain underneath what you meant by that. Yeah. Any other question? Okay, I think we move forward. Okay, timeline for certification. Okay, submission of applications. This in the form of a PAE examination. So then, respond by Board of Engineers Malaysia. They will notify the examiners. Siapa the examiner number 1. And then examiner normally, okay, like myself, I'm attached with Malaysia Society for Engineering and Technology. Okay, once we receive notification from Board of Engineers, then we will, the secretariat of my set will arrange for interview. What we call it, PAE interview, the location, the place, so on and so forth. Then one will be informed normally 1 week before the exam date, 1 week. And then after that, once you have fulfilled all the requirements, mean to say that the reports, there is because in some occasion you need to amend the report if the interviewer not happy with your report. That's why you follow as what I mentioned just now. So definitely that will be acceptable to the interviewer, or to the examiners. But if you lack, for instance, you lack the training, the workshop or seminar attended in your working experience report, then they will insist, because that is similar to your continuous professional development plan, CPD itu. They want to see how you progress on your competencies, your know-how. Okay. During the interview, they will clarify, the examiners will clarify whether you need to amend the report ke atau tidak. In some instances, if too bad, the report is too bad, so the secretariat will return the report to you to amend before they call you for interview. Okay, and then if everything is in order, we will assess you. We'll assess you basically 3 items. Number 1, your documentation, whether that's show your professionalism or not. Number 2, your interview session, whether you pass that interview or not, and then number 3, yourself, your maturity, and so on and so forth, whether you up to that, whether you are ready, to be a professional engineer. Okay. Okay, then if everything is in order, the interviewer, the panel will submit the recommendation to the secretariat. For the case of my set will submit the recommendation. Either you pass or you fail to BAM for approval. PAE of that examination. And then BAM will sit, they have their meeting, they will sit in their meeting, and if everything in order, normally recommendation will be accepted. Normally, most of the time, unless there's extraordinary things happen. So you will be notified whether you pass the PAE or not. Notification to candidate. Okay. This time duration is around dalam 4 bulan, is 4 months. Upon notification, you have to submit your application for PE registration. Normally, if your PAE has already been endorsed or approved, there's no issue for you to get your PE certification, in which there it takes about dalam 1.5 months. So the total duration here is about 6 months. So normally the process is slow when come to the recommendation by panel reviewer. Not because the panel reviewer is slow. It's because your documentation. Your documentation is not in order, By right, after PAE interview, your documentation should be everything, take about 1 month, 1 week, should be all in order already. But because there's delay there, that will affect the recommendation by panel interviewer. Okay, there's a question there from Saputri.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Yeah, Iqmal.
Okay, I would like to ask, just now you mentioned the 6 month for evaluation. Is it 6 months from submission of application until the notification of professional engineer to candidates?
Okay. From here, submission until the notification to candidate, this is about 4 months.
Okay.
We allow another 1.5 months for you, 1.5 months or maximum 2 months for you to get your endorsement as a professional engineer.
Okay.
You can use your title IR or PENG already. So total duration is about 6 months.
Okay.
There are cases about 1.5 years, tapi the mistake is not on the board, it is on the candidate itself. Okay.
Cik Imran, I have 2 questions. Okay, first one, just to confirm, the technical report must be bring together during the interview. It must be in a hard copy form. Okay, secondly, my question is that interview and also essay writing, is it going to be on the same day?
Okay. Your first question, technical report. When you submit your application for PAE examination, you must also submit your technical reports as well your experience report. You get what I mean? After
yes, but is it in hard
during
copy
the
or
interview
photocopy?
section, it is the original copy.
Okay.
During the interview session, during the PAE session, you need to bring this report because there will be questions or question need to be made to the panel interviewer. You have the option not to bring this report, but can you remember everything? That's my question. So it's good to bring the technical report and experience report together with you during the interview session. Okay, that's question number 1. Question number 2. Interview and essay writing will be done at the same time. Will start on the same day. It can be interview first, followed by essay writing, ataupun essay writing first, followed by the interview. It can be either way around. Okay, Kemal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, before we go to conclusion, we'll look at the sample. Okay, let me stop share here. You hold on, you hold on. Okay. Can you browse the? Can you let me control this, Alia?
Tak boleh, saya yang kena control.
Okay, you browse through. Okay. Okay, this is basically the sample for this essay. This for sample essay. Can you browse through slowly? Okay, this is the format. That is one. This is the process flow as mentioned. Okay, browse through. Okay. So look at the total pages is 5 pages. Okay, browse through. Okay. Okay, stop. Browse. This is the basic calculation, the sample, the formula they use there. So the essay, we want to show you that your understanding on certain engineering basic formula, and so on and so forth. It shouldn't be a complicated one because we understand that you are not able, we are not superhuman, to remember everything. But of course, we have to understand certain basic knowledge. Okay, browse. Can you browse down? Okay, look the wood there. They have rough foundation, steep footings, subsoil drainage. Okay. Okay, go down. Go down. Okay. This is telling his experience on EOT and so on and so forth. Okay. So basically 5 pages. Then this for part B, there are 4 pages here, part B. This we are talking about the code of ethics or engineering professional conduct. When you deal with third parties, when you deal with the contractors or authorities, there is a conflict of interest. So how you avoid that conflict of interest? You have to highlight. And of course, all these things, the process flow, the thinking process, you're going to find it easy if you have a lot of readings. You do a lot of reading. That's the purpose why for engineer or even for the graduate engineer, you need to have this what we call it continuous professional development via attending the course, seminar, and so on and so forth. I mean, I understand that some of you work for small company in which they do not really spend on training, but some work for big corporation or work for government sector. So you have that exposure to attending seminar and workshops. Okay. So okay, boleh keluar nak ini yang lain ini Alia? I want to show the sample lain. Okay. Okay, can you see this or not? Boleh nampak? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Boleh. Okay, this is sample, the form that you need to fill in. Form PAE. This is need to be submitted together with the processing fee and registration fee. for PAE examination. Yeah. So you have to understand that there are two set of fee here. One for PAE examination, the other one is for PE registration. Yeah. For PAE, I would like to repeat, processing fee is 100 ringgit and the registration fee is 500 ringgit for you to qualify for the exam. For professional engineering or professional engineer application, you have to pay 50 ringgit for processing fee and 300 ringgit for registration fee. Yeah. So total is basically is 950 ringgit. Okay. This PAE form you need to fill in. And then remember I mentioned about lampiran PAE just now. This is lampiran PAE, yeah, where you need to put sorry, this is a bit slow. Okay, you need to put a statement of training. Of course, the first column is date. I did mention already. When you work as a penolong pengarah awam, cawangan pengurusan projek Kompleks Procom, Jabatan Kerja Raya, from 19 of September until 2011 until 17 of August 2014. Okay. And then name of position, address of professional. Who you work under? Who is your supervisor? The professional engineer need to be a professional engineer. And then sometimes your supervisor and the person, sometimes this is basically the person is no longer there. So you need somebody to endorse your plan dan sebagainya. So you can have this under section E. Yeah. Kadang-kadang section E ni orang yang berbeza. Okay. Yang lain tadi as I mentioned tadi total. Okay. During this period, dia punya total dia 37 months. And then design office is basically 0, site field 0, planning management 37. So the rest is 0. So you put here total 37. Yeah. Okay. Then
also,
yeah.
If yang our supervisor not have entitled PE, can we put
No.
name also?
No, cannot. You have to put somebody who has PE, because this person is the one that going to monitor and nurture you, guide you, train you to be a professional engineer. So if he is not there, if in your organization you do not have such person, you can have somebody else out of your organization but has a connection with your organization. Contoh consulting firm, consulting engineer kan?
Yes.
From company A, for instance, you can use him as your mentor,
Okay.
and put their name here.
I
Okay?
see. Okay, I can understand. Thank you.
Cik Imran, I have one question. Let's say throughout our 10 years experience, we are working with oil and gas client company, and then we have the site experience and as well as design office experience. It comes together throughout the 10 years experience. So can we put the same weightage there for both?
Cannot. I did mention earlier, somebody asking me, I think Ikmal or somebody, so you have to give weightage within 10 years, how much you spend for designing an office, how much you spend in terms of time in site supervision or in administration, something like that. So 10 years, basically, the total will be 10 years, but the components will be different. Each time will be different for each components. Okay.
Okay, noted.
Okay, Cik Bran,
Ya.
saya ada soalan. Untuk macam saya graduate dalam kejuruteraan bahan.
Ya.
Jadi yang untuk saya bekerja dengan di bahagian civil. Jadi kalau bahagian orang yang endorse saya tu adalah daripada PE civil. Jadi orang signature tu adalah perlukah daripada civil juga atau perlu saya mendapatkan PE daripada PE material bahan?
Oh, civil should be from civil.
Okay, terima kasih.
Siapa yang cakap ni tadi, siapa dia?
Mozani Khair.
Mozani ya?
Ya.
Mozani, this kind of thing is quite tricky, you know. Because although you need to get it from civil, but you must get endorsement daripada board of engineers first. You get what I mean?
Okay.
You need to get endorsement, clearance daripada board of engineers. You're mentioning that you are actually from kejuruteraan bahan, okay? So you need to have somebody from kejuruteraan civil. Because it is kejuruteraan bahan is subset of civil, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you need to get that clearance from board of engineers.
Because in my position now, I can have both. I can find the two of the field.
Then kalau you can find both, why don't you put both signature there?
Itulah maksud saya nak tanya tadi, perlukah yang satu tu saya kata report di bawah PE civil, lepas tu yang signature tu boleh tak saya letakkan yang PE daripada material?
Ya, boleh.
Boleh.
Okay. I thought you tak ada daripada material tadi, PE from material.
Ada.
Ada, it's okay.
Okay.
Cik Imran.
Ya.
Saya Syuhada. Okey, saya nak tanya sikit. Kalau saya daripada kontraktor, untuk saya nak ambil supervisor, is it saya kena ada link contoh dengan consultant ke, ataupun contoh kalau let's say katakan saya punya kawan saya ada PE lah, boleh tak saya link dengan dia untuk jadikan dia sebagai saya punya supervisor? Macam mana?
Okay, in your organization ada tak PE?
Kalau ikutkan dalam HQ tu memang ada lah PE.
Kalau ada, then why don't you use? Because it is internal PE in your organization. You use him.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you use him. Easier, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yang I mentioned tadi, if there is nobody, there is no professional engineer in your organization, then only you get from your consultant or from orang luar lah, from a third party. Since you have it in your organization, let them be your mentor. Let them supervise you. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the report, laporan latihan dan pengalaman kerja. This is sample. You seen just now content, table of content, isn't it? Boleh nampak tak?
Yeah, we can.
Boleh. Table of content. Okay. So this is basically the actual sample by one of the candidate.
Imran, ada satu question.
Ya, Syakti.
Okey, untuk laporan latihan ni, kita perlu kalau ada gambar, boleh masukkan gambar sekali?
Boleh.
Boleh
Ya. But don't confuse between gambar dan juga your drawings. Because Need to be included as well under the technical punya report lah nanti kan.
Itu technical report, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Faham.
Okay, this is the basically the I want to show you the summary just now. Okay, you see the top portion there? Jumlah tempoh pengalaman mereka bentuk 52 bulan, D2 tapak kerja luar 31 bulan, D3 37 bulan, kerja kejuruteraan lain tiada, sarjana postgraduate 29 bulan. So total 149 bulan. So meaning to say that your minimum hours for D1 until D5 is basically the total is 36 months with 12 months design experience. Ya. Ini suraian pengalaman. Make sure your report you put the page number as well. Okay, this sample of certification. I hereby certify that this report on training and professional experience has been executed by the candidate in the only course of this employment under my supervision. Okay, I tell you like this. I'm going to share some of the information here through secretariat, Cik Alia, later on, yeah, because this is slow. I want to browse down this thing slow. It's too heavy. I think the computer is the file is too heavy. This is a BM form PAE 02 certification of drawings and documents lah and tracing. Yeah. This is laporan technical as mentioned just now.
Imran, tanya, by any chance, can we get this sample of this previous report?
Yeah. I try to work out because this is basically original one. This is the original one.
Okay.
So some information quite confidential. I try to work out how to share this thing through the secretariat lah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is the table of contents. Look at the pendahuluan, pengira reka bentuk, this design lah. analysis, net specification, the building code that I mentioned just now, BS or MS, and then bill of quantities, taking off untuk rasuk aras satu dan tiang, lukisan arkitek, and then lukisan struktur. Basically, what I mentioned to you in my earlier slide, my slide presentation that can be shared by the secretariat, no problem. You can get from them. All those information actually, if you follow that exactly as what I stated there, you actually passed the report part already. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, it's much easier if we get a sample for as a guideline.
Yeah, it's much easier.
Cik Ibran, one question.
Yeah,
Regarding the material taking off and also bill of quantities.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, like myself, I'm working with in an oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
So most of the time we don't have the BQ and material taking off, but we do have this is the cost engineering. So can we use that one as the BQ and also material taking off?
What is the component of cost engineering?
Is the cost estimation for that particular project, and then they also calculate in terms of the volume and also how much per unit rate.
It is estimation only, not the actual one.
We do have the actual one, but after we award to the contractor.
Then if you actually put your input, you give your input in the production of that document, then why don't you use that the one that used by the contractor?
Okay.
Yeah, because you actually doing that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So you just use it, yeah, because estimation is different than the actual one. Okay.
Sir,
The calculation, the sample calculation, reka bentuk, you actually, if you are designing the whole building, not necessarily you put you attach the calculation, design calculation for the whole building. You can basically just submit the design for the structure. We need to say the slab, the ground floor, or piling design is still okay. Yeah, not the whole thing, because I understand that if you are to submit the whole thing, then it takes a lot of space and will be time consuming. Yeah, because the point here is to gauge your design capability. Yeah, it is impossible to look at from point A until point Z for the whole things. Yeah, this example, we're talking about column load capacity. This part of the cerucuk design. Pakai bentuk cerucuk.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Ya, Iqbal. Waalaikumsalam.
Okay. Saya nak tanya untuk yang ni, for this calculation, should we need to, for manual calculation, should we need to write it in typing form or the handwriting form for manual calculation?
Okay. Have you done it? You have done it already, isn't it? You have done it already, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you have done it already, in what form? Is it written or in typing or computer generated?
Typing, manual, for manual typing.
Then because you have done it, you use that.
Oh, okay.
And not to reproduce,
Okay. Because just now I saw the manual calculation you show here is in the written, in the handwriting form. So
yeah,
I
because
thought that
last time when they generate this one, it is done in a written form.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have done it already, so might as well use it. Don't reproduce it.
Okay, right.
Okay. Because we want to gauge, evaluate your past record, your past experience. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Kasih kedai. Tak boleh strange ke kata tu? Ya.
Let me browse through this one. Sorry guys, it takes some time because this one, the computer is very slow. This is the sample for specification. Specification, the code, building codes. BS standard 8110-1 1997. Okay, I think we'll go to the next slide. We stop this one here. Stop share.
Cik Imran, another question. Let's say for the essay writing, for the question that mentioned on, let's say, just like you showed just now on the turnkey contract, but throughout our experience, we never had a chance to face the turnkey contract, or even in our workplace only involve open tender. So can we just straight answer that we can we can elaborate further on only on open tender instead of the turnkey contract as mentioned in the question?
Okay, turnkey contract is basically what I mentioned just now is example for you to design. Yeah, if it is a turnkey contract, the project based on the turnkey, you will involve in the designing stage, the designing work. The key point here is the designing work. Yeah, the design itself. So if you say that just now you do not have a turnkey project, it is a normal contract, isn't it? You bid for the tender, isn't it?
Yeah, it's open tender.
Open tender, okay. Have you involved in the designing works?
Yes.
Then it's okay. So you just put what is your project and then what are those projects that you involve in the designing works.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm quoting the turnkey project tadi because why? Because if you do not have, the company do not have experience in designing works, so maybe you look at this turnkey project, because in the turnkey contract, you are supposed to come up with a design and bid, isn't it?
That's right.
If the approach is just normal contract, let it be. Yeah, it's okay as long you involve in the designing works of that any particular project of any projects. Yeah, so involving in designing works. Yeah? So if it is in your company do not have that capability designing the works and design works, definitely somehow or other you'll meet a situation where you are required to design certain portion of the works, for instance, again. So then use the consultants or the third party for you to get them your help to guide you in designing that such particular works. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I think before any other question or not? Yeah.
Sometimes we do the calculation during very at early stage before even during we do some budgeting for the project. Is it okay to use that calculation even before we appoint a consultant or whatnot?
But the project is, that one is only preliminary design work, isn't it? Before, do you use that design work or not? Do you use that design or not?
We have to do the design so that we can get item that we want and also the cost as well.
Okay, if that's the case, maksudnya there is a draftsman who designed it. There is somebody who checking in, and there's somebody who approved that design, isn't it? Betul?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes. The management.
If that's okay, you can use that.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any other question?
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I would like to ask just now, according to your previous early slide, that's showing planning and management, right? Just now I saw planning and management. I would like to ask, I also involved in preparing the cadangan technical and proposal. Is it considered under the element of planning and management
Yes.
for preparing the cadangan technical and proposal? Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. You can put a weightage in terms of the time spent for that particular section. I think D3, isn't it? They put say how many months, because that will when you total up that will be considered as your overall this working
Planning.
experience. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
Encik Imran, I think there's a question on the text box.
On what?
Text box.
Okay. How to open the chat box? Chat, okay. Ada 15 question there. Okay. Okay, part 4. Okay, I start from the beginning. Okay. What is this from one Amira, one Ahmad? What is the difference between IEM and BM? Okay. IEM is the Institute of Engineers Malaysia. It is institution. Institution. BM is Board of Engineers Malaysia. Board of Engineers Malaysia is regulatory body who govern the professional engineers registration in Malaysia. Okay, both basically they have certification on professional engineer, both IEM and BM. The only difference that BM is the authority, IEM the institution. If you are IEM registered professional engineer, in order to be a Board of Engineers Malaysia, to be registered as Board of Engineers Malaysia engineer, you must get the endorsement of IEM first and apply for BM punya certification. Vice versa, if IEM if you are registered engineer with BM, you can be corporate members for IEM as well by applying as a corporate members of IEM. So in the nutshell, IEM Institute of Engineers Malaysia, dia macam persatuan, Persatuan Engineer Malaysia, Persatuan Jurutera Malaysia. Whereas BM is Board of Engineers Malaysia, Lembaga Jurutera Malaysia. The authority is BM. Okay. Both can certify your registration as professional engineer. Both can certify. Cuma saya tambah satu lagi tadi, MySET, Malaysia Society for Engineering and Technology, also can certify the PAE, but the endorsement is through Board of Engineers Malaysia. Okay, clear. Okay, Swami. Part 4. Part 4. Is it mandatory to design for all structural elements, slab, column, beam, and so on? Okay, you can design part of them or all of them. It's not mandatory. Then the answer is not mandatory to design all. You can basically adopt a section, contohnya slab ataupun column saja ataupun beam saja. It's okay, because here we want to see your design capability. You have the basic design capability. Okay. And then the next question, My Osman, untuk report documents memadai PE stamp di muka surat 8 termasuk jadual PAE, atau ada beberapa lagi muka surat lain yang perlu di stamp. Setelah di stamp, dokumen akan dibahas dan dimuat naik ke dalam IBM online medium, perlu ke yang hard copy dokumen tadi dihantar. Okey. Saya jawab soalan yang akhir sekali itu. Hard copy tak perlu dihantar. Okey, in terms of stamping tadi, definitely PAE form, PAE1 form, lampiran, you have to stamp at that particular page. Untuk report, you need to certify, you need to have a stamp, rubber stamp, under certification of drawings, under certification of tracing, and then the report itself, there is a statement that saying that reports prepared by the candidate, that also need to be endorsed by the professional engineer. Okay. From Nazirul Hafiz. Assalamualaikum, saya Nazirul. Saya merupakan design structure engineer di Consulting Firm. Saya akan menghadiri tapak jika terdapat masalah di keperluan teknikal. Saya juga menghadiri technical meeting dan site meeting. Adakah itu juga dapat dikatakan sebagai site experience? Betul. Ya. Site experience itu di bawah klasifikasi sebagai project engineer, site experience. Ya. Kalau melibatkan designing of the feasibility study, ya, preparation of the feasibility study, and then preparation of the report, itu dipanggil planning, ya, and administration. Okay. Mozani Khair, Tuan Imran, saya graduate dalam material engineering. Saya dah answer soalan ni. Ya, saya dah answer soalan ni. Okay. One more can we write in bahasa Malaysia? Okay, boleh. Ya. Boleh ditulis dalam bahasa Malaysia, tetapi being engineer is good if you can write it down in English. Ya. Tapi if you write it down in bahasa Malaysia, we still accept that. For the essay question, I believe no reference is allowed. Is it? If you can remember the reference, you can put down the reference. Okay, Ahmad Muzakir, Muhammad Nurul Syuhada, UiTM Penang. Oh, apa ni? Okay, Syarul Riza. Regarding the site experience, if from consultant, does site inspection also regard as site experience? Yes. Yeah, Reza, your site experience. Site inspection also site experience. Okay. Pengalaman saya ni from Zainon Mazran, from Mazran. Tuan, pengalaman bekerja saya dengan kontraktor dan tiada pengalaman dalam design. Jadi bagaimana untuk dapat 1 year experience dalam bidang design? Okay. This I did mention just now. You company do not have do not involve in design works because your contractor is understood. What you need to do is that you engage dengan mana-mana consulting firm, ya, yang ada berkaitan dengan your project, ataupun you minta mereka ini act as your mentor, ya, to guide you in designing works. Ya. So you actually time flies so fast. One year is so fast. So project-project mana lah, tapi you have to spend time, ya, in term of designing particular projects. Ya. Hire the third party. Maksudnya, if nobody in your organization have that capability, then maybe you hire somebody else. Collaborate, work together with others. Syarul Reza Ahmad, another question: does spreadsheet or Excel calculation also regard as manual calculation? Spreadsheet or Excel calculation also regard as manual calculation or report. This is it's not computer software, isn't it? Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. Okay. Rizza Anwar, untuk soalan essay dia akan dapat bila ya? Okay. Soalan essay ni 24 hours before your 2 or 3 days ya. Minimum 24 hours lah before your exam date. Okay. I think I hope I answer all the questions. So, okay. Okay. As a conclusion, professional assessment examination, you pass personal PAE. Actually, this is part of your journey to be a professional engineer. It is one of the milestones of your career journey to serve people and at the same time enjoy benefits. What more important is that higher sense of integrity, alertness, and sensitivity towards environmental, social governance is predominantly required to be present at all time as a PE. Integrity is one part because we are talking about dealing with structure, dealing with human needs, because you need to act as a protector to human beings. Transparency is the most important. Yeah. Any question, just now?
Okay. Assalamualaikum, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to ask. Okay, for CPD, continuous professional development point. Okay. Yeah. For example, like let's say during our training, when we are acting as a graduate engineer, does this CPD point during that we obtain during our training as a graduate engineer, is it carry over to what we call it after we obtain we obtain PAE just to obtain another next level of PE, which is PE WPZ?
Okay, basically PE, there is timeline on the expiry of PE. PE can be carry forward for 3 years. Yeah?
All right.
For 3 years. So if that fulfill your speedy fulfill that criteria of 3 years study, yes, it can be used.
Okay.
Okay, any other question?
Cik Imran.
Ya.
Saya suami Cik Imran.
Ya, suami.
Saya ada masalah supervisor saya PE, dia tak ada job, dia tak buat job. Boleh ke saya guna job nama jawatan dia?
Dia kena ada dalam PE.
Dia tak ada job pula, dia tak buat job pula lah, sebab kami daripada government kan, kami tak buat submission pun.
Okay.
Jadi ada idea tak ataupun cadangan ataupun boleh tak guna job nama jawatan tu?
Boleh guna jawatan nama dia. Nama jawatan tu boleh. PE number dia tu? PE number.
PE number ada. PE number ada.
Okay, Mak Suhaimi. Actually, kita based on practice. Patutnya memang ada job semua tu. Kalau I think the job tu is not that expensive, why don't you do for him? Can you do that?
Boleh Cik Imran.
Kau sebab dalam RM10 je kot.
Boleh.
You do for him lah. It will look neat, yeah. It will look neat if you have a proper job. Okay. Any other question?
Assalamualaikum Cik Imran.
Waalaikumsalam.
Saya Aziz.
Ya, Izul.
Saya nak tanya satu question lah. Saya dulu saya dah praktis dalam consultant, and then saya dah masuk dalam road maintenance. So far untuk road maintenance ni, I has a technical executive. So boleh tak kita relate maintenance tu dalam site field?
You mean you want to include that maintenance work tu dalam you punya total experience?
Total, bukan total experience, maksudnya dalam road maintenance pun dia ada project by project. Saya faham untuk dia buat dia punya kejayaan tu. Cuma dia dalam site field ataupun management.
Oh, maintenance.
Saya road maintenance ni sebab banyak kan kalau macam saya has a concession, kita banyak involve untuk management. Benda tu manage
Kalau yang involve the site supervision, you can put under site supervision lah. If involve kata you have to calculate certain feasibility study, then you put under management and planning.
Oh, sebab fully dalam planning lah yang saya dalam bidang saya sekarang ni.
Ya, okay, boleh.
Boleh ya. Okay, thank you sir.
Yeah, okay. So any other question?
Mr. Imran?
Yeah.
So Imran, I'm from a precast industry. So let's say we design a product is a repetitive product, but for different projects, can I consider as a design for 1 year experience? Like one product is a repetitive for different customers.
What is your background basically, Celestine?
Precast concrete.
Precast concrete design experience. In 1 year, how many design you produce?
For 1 year, I only design most is only 4 different products.
4 different products. That total design experience is more than 12 months, isn't it? Your overall design experience.
My experience is only, but my working experience is 3 years. So every year, every new project, we produce the design for the customer to supply the precast products.
So your question just now is the design is repetitive design.
Yes, one design probably for 3 to 4 different projects or customers.
So your total design experience for different project, how many?
From the first day until now, yeah, 3 years. The
So
work is like I supply, I provide the bill of quantities, I provide the breakdowns, and also the design.
Okay, okay. So now the question is that whether repetitive can be considered as a
design experience.
Can be accepted, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
If it is different project, although it's competitive, definitely there'll be a slight adjustment here and there, isn't it?
Yeah, just like dimensions and all this, but the design of the sizes is the same.
Okay, how many design do you have?
Design at the moment have 4 different sizes, but the 4 different sizes can be used for multiple customer.
Okay, so if I'm asking you how many total design experience you have and how many project, what is your answer?
At the moment, if last year is that one product I have done for 3 different customers.
Okay.
So another average of 3 customers, so 4 times 3 is 12 customers.
Yes. Okay. If it is repetitive, because the word now repetitive, and we want to see whether you have basic design experience. So my answer is yes. Boleh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it all 4, or I can just choose one of it? One of my
in your, because there are 2 reports need to be submitted. Your first report, your design experience, you tell whatever project you have undertaken for the last 3 years. Okay. And then for technical one, you choose one of the projects.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Understood. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other question?
Another question, Cik Imran, Tuan.
Ya, Cik Azizul.
Ada sama macam soalan yang participant sebelum ni. Cuma macam saya masa consultant tu, macam satu projek tu saya sebagai designer. So dia duration dia by project or by design. Macam design tu dia ambil masa untuk design tu 2 minggu. So untuk kita punya log report kita akan bubuh 0.5 months. Macam tu ke?
Okay, because your experience is calculated based on months, yeah, months of designing works. So how many projects they do not consider that, yeah? But it's understood. If 1 year, minimum 1 year, definitely you should have completed, say, 3-4 design work, isn't it? Cannot be only one design work for a duration of 1 year, isn't it? Unless it is a heavy, big design projects. So in this case, the answer is that it is based on months, in which minimum time spent for designing work, total time spent should not be less than 12 months.
Okay. I understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
Assalamualaikum, Cik Imran.
Waalaikumsalam, Amira.
Saya Amira.
Ya.
Saya nak tanya, untuk satu projek saya handle ni sekarang, dia untuk underground cable TMB. Tapi skop kerja konsultan ialah license with local authorities lah. So kalau untuk kerja-kerja macam ni, saya nak masukkan dalam kategori apa tu? Management ke?
It should be under planning management.
Planning management. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Ada satu soalan dalam chat, Cik Imran.
Muhammad Fahmi, ya. Okay, ada soalan ni yang Untuk soalan essay, kandidat akan dapat bila ya? Oh, I have explained that. And then the other one, Muhammad Fahmi, past experience under a PE, tapi that PE not available to sign, say retired, migrated. Do we still include her name as a past supervisor? Yes. The answer is yes. You put his name, but for endorsement, you can use somebody else who has knowledge on your past experience and your current experience. Yeah, meaning to say that somebody who is a PE, although he is not supervisor, but he has knowledge on your past experience. Yeah, the one that you have done it with somebody else. That person can sign. Yeah, you see in the form that I show you just now, they have A, B, C, D, E. That's column. Column C is your supervisor. Yeah? Remember, column A is duration of the time span or your career, yeah? Your employer. Column B is basically the description, and column C is the supervisor. So now your issue is supervisor is no longer there. So you can put his name there, but when you go to column E, the last column, you put the person who has knowledge of your works, the PE as well. Okay.
Cik Imran, regarding the same question, katalah yang kita punya past supervisor dah retire, tapi dia supervise kita masa during kita buat design ke, kita letak nama dia, and then kalau kita tak ingat dia punya number PE dia tu, okey tak? Ataupun kena cari juga number PE dia? Sebab maybe dia dah retire kan? Jadi mungkin kita tak dapat hubungi ke ataupun dah tukar nombor handphone ke, ataupun ada solution lain tak?
Nama dia tu kalau you actually now you can check by using the name and then which discipline he is in, and then you can easily check that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay. Any other thing? Any other question? Okay. Kalau tak ada question,
ada satu lagi soalan dekat chat.
Okay, on building information modeling, BIM. What's the question? Salam Tuan, kalau Syazwan Ehsan, kalau yang background dia BIM, building information management, boleh tak dia ambil PE? Boleh. Yeah, the answer is boleh. Yeah, if you can prove that you have design experience, and then the other experience like the planning, administration, and so on and so forth. Under category D. Just now we have 5 subsectors under D. Under section D just now. Yes, boleh. The answer is boleh. With information modeling, because bear in mind, sometimes when we work, the profession is still related to engineering, but maybe the involvement is not that much. But the idea is that we want endorsement as professional engineer. We want to see your professionalism, how you approach the issue, the problem, how you manage the problem-solving activities, how do you react, or how do you react to the change environment, and so on and so forth. Okay. Terima kasih pencerahan. Okay, mohon pahami ya. Okay, I hope that's the last question. Any other question? Tak ada ya? Okay. You can always basically email me. You have further question ke dan sebagainya. Okay, cuma I just would like to know from all of you who have attended this session, this report writing session, whether you faham tak apa cakap, whether you are happy with my sharing of information and knowledge here.
Very informative, sir.
Okay.
Very helpful. Very helpful.
Okay. So my advice,
membantu lah. Sebelum ni saya dah join banyak workshop macam ni. This the best information.
okay, thank you. my advice that go through browse through Board Engineers Malaysia website, you know, get more information. Sometimes there is an update on certain criteria and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Sir, Assalamualaikum sir.
Yeah.
Sekarang ni saya ada dimaklumkan bahawa mungkin tahun depan BM they will introduce a new PAE format, if I'm not mistaken, which is outcome based PAE.
Yeah. Betul. They're going to introduce that, yeah. But well, you know, so then if that's the case, maybe those of you who have already qualified to sit for PAE, do it immediately. You know, don't wait any longer. Yeah, because why? When come to regulation, based on my past experience, regulation normally change by time. Yeah, so biasanya dia lebih complicated. Yeah, same goes to endorsement for professional engineer with practicing certificate. Yeah? The format, the guidelines atau the policy, the requirements are getting tougher and tougher. You know, so if you still have time, or you're ready to be registered as professional engineer, do it now. Yeah, that's my advice. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
To all participants, I wish you good luck, inshallah. Okay, with that, I say thank you and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Engineer Imran, for the great sharing session. And also thank you everyone for attending today's webinar session. Once you leave this webinar, you will receive a survey on today's webinar session, and we would appreciate if you could complete that and provide us your feedback. On behalf of Mega Jati Academy and our speaker, thank you for joining us today. Stay safe and take care, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Mega Jati.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.